If tomorrow morning you open your eyes, look at your work calendar, and the only thing in your gut is, I cannot take this anymore, would you dare to take time off? Or do you still have to swallow it, get dressed, and go in because if you are even one rent payment late, everything starts falling apart like dominoes? Here is a hard truth, but it is fair. You do not have to be rich to quit. You need a clear number, not some vague fantasy number like you need $1 million, a real number that lets you stand up straight, say no to a bad job, and still live a normal life in the United States. But before we talk about the number, we need to be clear about something. There are 3 levels of quitting. Level 1 is quitting to breathe. You can take a few months off, switch fields, retrain, recover from burnout, care for your kids, or simply sleep like a human again. Level 2 is quitting to choose. You can leave a toxic workplace without grabbing the first random job just to make the next round of bills. Level 3 is quitting for freedom. Your money generates enough to support your life, and you work because you want to, not because you are scared. Each level requires a different number, and if you are at level 1 or level 2, you can get there sooner than you think. What traps you is not only a lack of money, it is that you do not know exactly how much you spend and how many hours of your life you trade for each dollar. It sounds heavy, but this is a survival rule. Money is not just paper. Money is time. It is the evenings when you are so wiped out you cannot play with your kid. It is the weekends when you are nodding off because you picked up extra shifts. It is all the times you told someone you love, later, when I have time. If you want to be able to quit, you have to know the price of 1 hour of your life after everything gets taken out. For example, Ryan works an office job in Texas. His headline salary is about $95,000 a year. Sounds great, but after federal taxes and whatever state taxes apply, after the portion the company withholds for insurance, after commuting, lunch, childcare, and all the small stuff like coffee to stay awake, the money he actually takes home each month is way lower. Ryan thought he was getting paid $45 an hour, but when he sat down and did the real math, dividing his take-home pay by the total time he truly gave up, including traffic, getting ready, unpaid overtime, the number dropped to about $20 to $25 an hour. And that is before counting the invisible cost. Stress, insomnia, weight gain, and living with your brain stuck in fear of getting laid off. You do not need to calculate it down to the penny, but you do have to face the full picture. The first step to being able to quit is turning money into something you can see. Not in your head, on paper or in a tracker. Every dollar in, every dollar out, tracked like you are keeping score in a game, because you cannot beat what you do not measure. Once you start tracking, you will notice something strange. Some expenses feel small, but together they are like a hole in your boat. A streaming subscription, a food delivery app, an online purchase because you were bored, a bank fee because you forgot your balance, credit card interest because you paid only the minimum. Each one is just a few dozen dollars, but it is also a few hours of your life. Now, the most important question is not how much you spend, it is what is worth it. You need a simple standard to decide. Every time you are about to buy something, ask yourself 3 questions and answer honestly. Does this clearly make my life better? Do I actually use it, or am I buying it to forget how tired I am? And if I convert this into work hours, am I willing to give up that many hours? Sarah used to be a fast shopper. Every time work got stressful, she would reward herself with something. A pair of shoes, new workout clothes, home decor. The rush lasted exactly 1 night. The next morning, it was still the long email chain, the long meeting, and that tight feeling in her stomach because rent was coming due. When Sarah started asking those 3 questions, she did not become cheap. She became clear-headed. She kept the things that genuinely made life easier, like a good mattress, healthy food, and a regular health checkup plan. But she cut off the stuff that was only temporary pain relief. And this is where people get it wrong. The goal is not to live miserable. The goal is to buy back your ability to choose. You are using each dollar to buy future freedom. Every unnecessary expense does not just take your money, it takes a piece of your plan to quit. Now we get to the number. If you want level 1, quitting to breathe, what you need is runway. Runway means how long you can live if tomorrow you have $0 coming in. For most people in the United States, the realistic number is about 6 to 12 months of minimum expenses. It depends on your job, your family, your health, your state. But the principle is the same. It has to be long enough that you do not panic. Minimum expenses are not your ideal life. They are your safe baseline. Rent or mortgage payments, utilities, food, gas or transit, insurance, basic medical needs, and required debt payments. You do not have to guess. Take the average of the last 3 months, remove the unusual one-time costs, and you get a number. Daniel is a technician in Arizona. He has a wife and a baby. Daniel thought his family needed $8,000 a month, but when he sat down and separated true minimums, it was closer to $5,500. The rest was eating out a lot, impulse buys, and a newer car with a heavy monthly payment. Daniel did not sell the car right away. He just decided to lower the minimum baseline and start building Runway. So how do you build Runway? You have 3 levers, and you have to use all 3. First, cut the leaks you do not even remember. Second, negotiate the big costs, because one good negotiation can save you hundreds of dollars every month. Call your internet provider and ask for a cheaper plan. Reshop your auto insurance and home insurance. Even ask your landlord about renewing a longer lease to lower the rent. Third, increase the gap between income and expenses by bringing in extra money, even if it is only a few $100s a month. Do project-based side work, sell stuff you do not use, pick up short weekend gigs. The goal is not to do it forever. The goal is to speed up your runway. If what I am saying is hitting the exact nerve for you, subscribe to the Wealth Wisdom Notes channel, because here we are going to turn uncomfortable numbers into a clear plan so you feel less scared and you start choosing your life again. There is one more trap that keeps a lot of people from ever building enough runway. They leave the money in their main spending account, and every time they feel drained, they pull from it. You have to separate it. Open a dedicated savings account. Name it something clear like Freedom Fund, and move money into it the moment you get paid. If you wait until the end of the month to save, you will never save. Discipline comes before motivation. And remember this, Runway is not only cash, it is also the things that reduce your risk when you quit. A strong credit score, so you are not forced into high interest rates. Health insurance with a deductible and copays you can actually handle. A plan for what happens to your retirement contributions through work if you leave. None of that sounds romantic, but it is your safety line. You want to quit to breathe, not quit and then panic because of an emergency room bill. Once you have Runway, you will feel yourself change even while you are still working. You stop shrinking when you get a midnight email. You set boundaries. You talk about a raise. Because you know that if they say no, you are still going to be okay. Your power goes up the moment you have options. But Runway is only level 1. Level 2, quitting to choose, and level 3, quitting for freedom, require a deeper way of thinking about cash flow and assets. And that is where your number gets interesting, because it is not only based on how much you earn, it is based on how much you keep and how you let your money work. To quit to choose, you need one more layer of protection, not only Runway, you need a transition fund. Because when you leave a job, you do not only lose a paycheck, you lose your familiar routine, you lose employer health insurance, you even lose that false sense of safety. If your fund is only barely enough to survive, you will panic the moment something small goes wrong, and you will throw yourself into another job just to stop being scared. A transition fund is money you set aside specifically for the things that hit right when you quit, like a rental deposit if you have to move, like your deductible and copays when you go to the doctor, like the cost of earning a professional certification, buying work tools, or paying for a skills course. It does not have to be huge, but it has to exist, and it has to be separate. Because this fund is what decides whether you quit calmly or quit in panic. Michael thought quitting only meant having enough for food and housing. Michael saved up 6 months of minimum expenses, then turned in his resignation. The first week felt amazing. The second week, letters started showing up saying his health insurance premium was going up because his employer was no longer covering part of it. Then his car needed repairs, and the bills came in higher than expected. Michael did not have a transition fund, so every time something happened, he pulled straight from his Runway. In just 2 months, Michael lost his nerve and grabbed a new job, any job, with lower pay and worse hours, simply because he was scared of running out of money. You do not have to repeat that mistake. Here is a simple rule. Runway is for living. A transition fund is for avoiding pressure. When you have both, you actually have choices. If this way of looking at it is making things feel less fuzzy for you, hit like on this video for me. It is one click, but it tells me this is worth continuing and worth going deeper for you. Now let us talk about the question everyone really wants. So what is the number for quitting to choose? There is no single number for everyone, but there is one shared method. Take your minimum monthly expenses. Multiply that by a time period long enough to find a new job without rushing, or long enough to build a new source of income. For many people, that range is 9 to 15 months, depending on the field and the job market. Then add the transition fund we just talked about. That number is not a fantasy. It is a plan. But level 3, quitting for freedom, cannot rely on savings alone. You need assets that generate cash flow. And in the United States, that ties directly to how you use the account system and how you control debt. The first rule at level 3 is clearing the path for cash flow. If you are carrying credit card debt with a very high annual percentage rate, every freedom plan gets dragged backward, like you are trying to drive with a parking brake stuck. You can invest, but your returns will struggle to outrun the speed of debt growing. The move here is not chasing some miracle investment. The move is paying down consumer debt first, so every dollar you save afterward actually stays with you. The second rule is that financial freedom is not a feeling. It is math. You need to know what it costs you to live for 1 year at a minimum level that still feels okay. Then you need a safe withdrawal rate from your invested assets. A lot of people choose around 3 to 4% per year depending on age, health, risk tolerance, and the stage of the market. This is a reference range, not a fixed law, but it is enough to give you a framework. For example, Emily wants to leave her job and never go back to full-time work. Emily's minimum yearly expenses are about $72,000. Emily chooses to think conservatively and uses a withdrawal rate of about 3% per year. Emily takes $72,000 divided by 3% and gets about $2,400,000 in invested assets. That sounds huge, but this is where many people fail. They hear the number and quit. The people who make it do the opposite. They treat the number like a destination, then break it down into monthly habits. And this is where you need an entrepreneur mindset, even if you are an employee. Every month, you create surplus, the gap between income and expenses. That surplus gets converted into assets. Those assets generate returns. Those returns become more surplus. That is the flywheel. If you want to quit for freedom, you have to keep that flywheel spinning. So how do you keep it spinning in real life in the United States? Start with the simplest thing and make it a habit that does not require motivation. Set up automatic saving the moment your take-home pay hits. The money goes straight into savings or an investment account without passing through your hands. Use your employer retirement plan if your company offers matching contributions, because that is free money you do not want to leave on the table. Learn how to use an individual retirement account to optimize taxes for your specific situation. Look at a health savings account if your health insurance plan qualifies, because medical costs in the United States can destroy a plan faster than almost anything else. This stuff sounds dry, but it is leverage. Jordan does contract work with income that goes up and down. Jordan used to feel unsafe about the inconsistency, so Jordan held a lot of cash. The result was money sitting still, inflation quietly eating it, and Jordan still feeling stuck. When Jordan started using a simple system, everything changed. Jordan set a fixed minimum baseline for expenses. Jordan separated money for taxes because contractors often have to prepare on their own. Then Jordan created a monthly transfer into investments even with a variable income. In good months, Jordan transferred more. In bad months, Jordan transferred less. But Jordan did not skip any month. 1 year later, Jordan stopped asking, "When will I be free?" Jordan started asking, "How much more time did I buy this month?" And you need one more truth. Not everyone needs level 3 to be happy. Some people only need level 2 because they do not need to quit work entirely. They only need the power to choose their work. They work part-time. They do projects. They build a small additional income stream. They switch jobs when they are treated badly. They live like someone with leverage. And that leverage comes from their funds. So the most practical question is this: which level do you want? If you are burned out, aim for level 1 right now. If you are being squeezed in a toxic environment, aim for level 2. If you want long-term freedom, build level 3 through habits and assets. But no matter which level you choose, there is one standard that tells you whether you are getting close. It is when you can walk into a hard conversation without shaking. You can talk to your boss about boundaries around your time. You can refuse unreasonable overtime. You can ask for a raise based on the value you create. You can leave if they disrespect you. When you have options, you speak differently, and people treat you differently. In the end, the number that lets you quit is not for bragging. It is for sleeping well. It is so fear does not control you. It is so you become the driver again, not the one being dragged. Today, do just one thing. Write down your minimum monthly expenses in the United States, honestly. Then choose level 1 or level 2 as your first target. When the number is clear, you stop daydreaming. And when you stop daydreaming, you start moving.